The whole world is watching as Iran delivers one of its clearest and firmest warnings in recent years regarding any potential attacks on its nuclear facilities. The message from Tehran is not subtle, not ambiguous, and not open to misinterpretation. It is a message directed not only at regional adversaries, but also at global powers, alliances, and decision-makers who may see military pressure as a pathway to influence. In recent statements, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi spoke with a level of directness that leaves little room for diplomatic rephrasing. He said that any country, any military leadership, or any power bloc considering an attack on Iran's nuclear sites should rethink their position very carefully. He stated plainly and without hesitation, trying the same failed threat will only fail again. These words echo across a tense and uncertain geopolitical landscape. They come at a moment when conversations about nuclear capability, regional deterrence, and defensive sovereignty are being debated in every foreign policy institution, Security Council, and intelligence headquarters across the world. This warning from Tehran follows remarks by the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, who recently expressed concern that diplomatic pathways might soon narrow. He indicated that if no agreement is reached, there is a real risk of escalation or even the use of force. Such a statement from the head of the world's nuclear watchdog signals that the situation has entered a sensitive and potentially volatile stage. Iran has been under heavy scrutiny since the 12-day conflict with Israel, a brief but intense confrontation that left deep political consequences across the region. After that conflict, Iran suspended several parts of its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Inspections, data access, and communication protocols that once formed the backbone of nuclear transparency have since been scaled back, restricted, or halted entirely. Yet, despite attempts to damage or disrupt its nuclear program through cyber operations and covert strikes carried out in previous years, Iran still maintains a significant stockpile of enriched uranium. Most notably, it currently possesses approximately 400 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60% purity. For context, uranium for civilian power reactors is typically enriched at around 3% to 5%. The 60% level is considered extremely high and sits below the threshold for weapons-grade material. But it is close enough that if Iran chose to continue enriching it further, it could theoretically produce material sufficient for several nuclear warheads, perhaps around 10, based on the estimates of analysts and technical experts. It is important to note, however, that the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that there is no conclusive evidence that Iran has decided to build a nuclear weapon. The agency continues to state that while Iran's stockpile is large and its capabilities advanced, the intentions behind its program remain a matter of political interpretation rather than proven fact. Still, the existence of enriched uranium at such levels creates significant pressure. It places Iran in a position where negotiations can be influenced not just by diplomatic arguments, but by the timelines and technical realities of enrichment. It also places its adversaries in a situation where any miscalculation could lead to a chain reaction of escalation, distrust, and retaliation. Furthermore, much of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is believed to be stored in facilities whose location and operational details are not currently disclosed to the nuclear agency. This lack of visibility has heightened the strain between Iran and Western governments. Earlier this year, there was an attempt to stabilize the situation. Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency held several technical and diplomatic discussions aiming to re-establish monitoring mechanisms and agree on inspection frameworks. But those efforts collapsed abruptly when Britain, France, and Germany triggered the snapback mechanism, a clause originally embedded in the 2015 nuclear deal. The snapback mechanism restored United Nations sanctions that had previously been lifted when the deal was signed. This move led Tehran to officially cancel its temporary cooperation measures with the nuclear agency. Iran's National Security Council confirmed that the agreement governing inspection access is now void. Yet, despite the cancellation, Tehran has said that it remains open to reviewing new proposals on the condition that such proposals do not infringe upon what Iranian leaders call their nuclear sovereignty. In Western capitals, there is now broad discussion of a new draft resolution that may formally condemn Iran for its reduced cooperation. Such a resolution would further increase diplomatic pressure and could become a prelude to new sanctions or international isolation. Iranian officials, however, have pointed to the outcomes of the 12-day conflict, arguing that shows of force have not solved strategic disagreements in the past and are unlikely to do so in the future. The current dispute has now evolved beyond its technical nuclear dimensions. It is no longer simply about percentages of enrichment, inspection protocols, or the logistics of centrifuges. It has become a contest of trust, legitimacy, and geopolitical leverage. It is about whether Iran will be treated as a sovereign regional power with its own strategic interests, or whether it will be positioned as a state whose security and capabilities can be dictated through pressure. This situation also touches on broader questions about power dynamics in the Middle East. The region has undergone immense shifts over the past decade. Realignments, newly formed strategic partnerships, normalization agreements, and evolving alliances have transformed the traditional lines of influence. Iran's position within this recalibrated balance has become central. Its ability to negotiate on equal footing rather than from a defensive posture has become a defining feature of its diplomatic identity. Yet dangers remain. Each statement issued, each threat made, each missile test conducted, and each diplomatic negotiation delayed carries the risk of misinterpretation. Misinterpretation in situations where national pride and regional deterrence are involved can become a spark. Iran insists that it will defend its nuclear facilities and its sovereign right to develop nuclear energy. It views its nuclear program as not merely a technological pursuit, but a symbol of national independence and scientific achievement. Any attempt to damage that symbol would not be seen as strategic pressure. It would be seen as an attack on the identity and dignity of the nation. As the international community monitors the situation, attention now turns to the upcoming session of the International Atomic Energy Agency's Board of Governors. The agency will present an updated report outlining its most recent findings, assessments, and concerns. How the global powers respond to that report, whether through cooperation, confrontation, negotiation, or escalation, will likely shape the path ahead. This is a moment defined by uncertainty. Diplomacy may yet succeed, but it will require patience, political courage, and recognition of the stakes involved. The alternative, a breakdown of talks and a turn toward coercion or force, would risk igniting a regional crisis with consequences extending far beyond Iran's borders. That is why the warning from Tehran matters. It is not simply a statement of strength. It is a sign that the margin for error has grown narrow. Decisions taken in one capital can now have immediate impact across the world. The future of nuclear diplomacy, regional power equilibrium, and even broader global stability may depend on what happens next. Iran's message remains unchanged. Any attempt to interfere with its nuclear program will be met with consequences. It views its nuclear capability not as a bargaining chip to be surrendered under threat, but as a sovereign right to be defended. The world is watching. The region is tense. The stakes are high. And the outcome, as of now, remains uncertain.